friends. Welcome to week 2 of our 12 weeks, 12 keys series. We're moving on this week to G major, which is up a perfect fifth from the key of C, which we did last week. We're going to be going around the circle of fifths in the next few weeks to get all of our keys in. So you'll note that on the worksheets, there is a little sharp symbol at the beginning of the line, and that is telling us that we're always going to play an F sharp, no matter what it's written as on the page. If it looks like a regular F, it's always going to be F. And the reason for that is that we want to keep our intervals, or the distance between the notes, consistent throughout the keys. If we only played an F natural instead of this F sharp, we would be playing what's called a G mixolydian scale instead of our major scale. What we're working through are the major keys here. So our key signatures, or those little sharps or flats at the beginning of the line, enable us to do this without writing tons of sharps throughout the entire piece. We just know from the get-go that we're always going to have this F sharp in the key of G. So for this exercise, I've written out both high G and low G tuning versions of this for the scales and arpeggios to give you all a couple different options on what we're doing. We're going to be playing from G to G for our major scale with an F sharp in there. And because of where this lays on this small instrument, we're going to use something called octave displacement, which means that we're going to take the notes and we're going to play in a different octave, or 12 tones lower than it normally would. So you'd see if you play your open G, that's a G, but this up here on the 10th fret of your A string is also a G. So we can play it in either octave, it is still a G. So this might sound a little jarring to your ear at first, but it gets us around all of the lower notes on our fingerboard, which is what we're really trying to do in this series, is start to learn the fingerboard down here so that we can move it up. So we're going to use this concept of octave displacement in the scales to utilize these lower notes on the instrument. So on your high G uke, if you pick it up, our scale is going to be an open G, and then we're going to play an open A, and then the B is on the 2nd fret of our A string, and then we're going to drop down. Instead of playing the 3rd fret of our A string, we'll play our open C string and continue the scale from here to utilize these lower notes. And then we'll go up to the 2nd fret of our C string, a D right there, and then an open E, and then we're going to have an F sharp on the 2nd fret of our E string, and we'll round this out with our open G string. So our whole G major scale with this octave displacement will sound like this. Now, if you have a low G uke, we can do this without octave displacement and play straight up from our G string. So you would play your open low G, and then your A on the 2nd fret of the G string. On the 4th fret will be your B, and then you'll have an open C, and then the rest will be the same. We'll do D on the 2nd fret, an open E string, the F sharp on our 2nd fret, and then we can end with the G on our 3rd fret as opposed to using the open string since we don't have it. So in your low G, it will sound something like this. Same exact scale, but we're placing the notes in slightly different octaves. Now moving on, we're going to address all of the arpeggios, or broken chords, in the key of G, going up through all of our notes. Now remember that our chord values stay exactly the same regardless of what key we are in. So our tonic chord, or the first one that we will play, which is G, will always be major in this. And then we will have A minor, our 2nd degree is always minor. Our 3rd degree will be B minor, and then we'll have a C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and then we will close out on just a regular old G. So this first exercise of broken chords gives us the chords without strumming them all together so that our ear can really hear how the chords are constructed. We are using the root, 3rd, and 5th of each chord. So our arpeggio exercise on high G will sound a little bit something like this. So again, we're utilizing octave displacement here to keep everything in the same range on the instrument. With our low G, we can walk up a little bit further, much like we did in this scale, but do the same exact exercise. These are the same notes being played, but in a different octave on our low G. So once you're used to playing these broken chords, we can just strum through all of our root position chords so that we have all 7 tones of the scale ready to go should we need to use them in a song. So much as I said with the broken chords, we're going to first strum a G major, open, 2, 1, 2, just your standard G major chord that you know. And then your second scale degree will be A minor, which we can voice 2, open, open, 3. There's our A minor. And then we have B minor, which is a bar chord across our 2nd fret, and your ring finger will come around to the 4th fret of your G string to grab that B there. That's our B minor. Our root position C, open, 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 C, 3. And then we have D major, 2, 2, 2, open. And then we'll have E minor, which will be open, 4, 3, 2. You can strum through that. And our F sharp diminished chord, you might be familiar with this one by a different name. It is 2, open, 2, open. Many people call this the Hawaiian D7th. But if you look at these notes, it's an A, C, F sharp, and another A. We don't have a D contained in here, but we do have all the notes that are present in our F sharp diminished chord. So you can use this chord functionally as a 5 chord or a dominant chord, your D7th, or also as the F sharp diminished chord, and they will function exactly the same, getting you back to G. And the chords will be exactly the same on low G. What I've done below for you for this week's song is written up one of my favorite tunes, which is You Are My Sunshine. And there are 2 different versions, one for high G and one for low G, both utilizing octave displacement in 2 different ways so that you can get used to this concept. So work on these exercises and please tag the 12 weeks, 12 keys so that we can all follow each other's progress while we go through this. And a big thanks to Ohana for letting me film this specific video in their headquarters in Long Beach. It's been a pleasure to be here. So next week, we're going to be moving on to the key of D major. As always, these worksheets are available for free on my Patreon so that everyone can work through these keys together. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and I'm always happy to help. See you all next week.